Hi, good morning 109. So today we're going to read this story. I am Amelia Earhart and it is a biography. So it tells the story of a real life person, and here is a picture of Amelia. She is Amelia Earhart. She is a real life person, and we're going to focus on the beginning of her life when she was young, okay? So in the beginning of the story, we see Amelia Earhart. She's 7 years old and she's doing a lot of things that are unladylike. So what does that mean, unladylike? That means that at the time she wasn't playing with dolls, right? And she was busy playing with planes, so things that maybe boys like to play with, right? We still play with dolls, but now we have choices. But at the time, right, if you did not play with a doll, it was considered unladylike, okay? So what were her interests? So when she was 7, she really liked planes and she liked to fly and she liked to build things, right? Things that maybe boys would have liked, but she liked to do that. She was very adventurous. So at the age of 7, she built a roller coaster, which was really great if you think about it. And she was very brave and adventurous. And she got together in the backyard with her cousins and she decided to test this roller coaster, right? And they were like, "Is this a good idea, Amelia?" She's like, "This is the best idea ever." So she was really excited about this adventure and she really wanted to try it out. So she went to the backyard knowing that her grandma and her mom would know that it's unladylike, but she wanted to do this because this was a great idea for her. So she wanted to test out if it really worked. So she went to the backyard with her cousins, and guess what? It worked. She did a little tweaks here and there, and she was able to fly. And she felt so good. And she said, "I'm flying. This is awesome." And this sparked her interest in flying, okay? So Amelia Earhart was very unladylike because she did a lot of things that were adventurous. And one of those adventurous things was to fly. And it's so great because we consider her a legend. She's the first woman to fly an airplane. So that's a big, big deal. And it just goes to show you that you can do anything, right? We've been talking about a lot of books with determination and hard work. Well, Amelia is a perfect example, right? And this is an actual person, a biography. So what we're going to do this week is you're going to look at the story, and I have some questions for you. And we're going to use a strategy called RAD. So I'm going to explain it to you. So here it is, and I'll post it, right, under Google Classroom. So what does RAD mean? Okay, so RAD is a reading strategy. So how do you answer reading questions? Okay, so the R is for restate, the A is for answer, and the D is for detail. So it's an acronym. It's an acronym to help you to answer reading questions, because a lot of us are answering those reading questions with one word. And you know what? If a reader, like a teacher, for example, or someone's reading your work, if you write one word, we're not going to know what you're talking about. So for example, if I say happy, I'm thinking in my head, are you happy? Is the character happy? Who's happy? Right? It doesn't really give that big picture. So this is where it's important to add those details, okay? And RAD is a cool strategy, right? A good reading strategy to help you. So the restate, what does restate mean? It means you use the words from the question, except for the W words, right? The 5 W's, the question words, you're not going to use those to restate your idea. Answer, right? You have to answer the question in a complete sentence, not just one word, right? Because we're used to just, okay, that one word answer, but it's important to restate and to answer it completely, right? So that the person who's looking at your work has a clear idea of what you're trying to answer. And then we have D for details, right? So you have to go back into the story to pull out those details, okay? So for example, this week I have 4 questions, okay? And I'm going to show you how I use RAD. So the first question that I have is, name a toy from today. So from today, from this time period, that Amelia would not like to play with. So which toy would Amelia not like to play with? So you have to go back to the story. And if you go back to the beginning, right, her mom was giving her a doll. And she was like, "I don't want to play with dolls." And she kind of liked the planes. So if you were going to answer that question, which would state, and I'm gonna write it down, name a toy from today that Amelia would not like to play with. Remember, she did not want to play with this toy. How would you answer that? So you would answer that using RAD. You're going to restate, right, your answer, and you're going to give a complete answer, not just one word, right, doll. And you're going to use details. So you have to go back to the story and really pay attention. So the answer would be, right, how you were restated is a toy from today that Amelia would not like to play with is, and if I go back to the story, is a doll. Then I could even add another sentence, right? Instead of playing with dolls, she wanted to play with planes, which was unladylike, right? So you can begin to add those details. And the way you know how to add those details is by going back to the story. So it's always important to pause, to take a look at the story, to look for that text evidence, right? Because that's what's going to help you answer the questions, all right? So I have another question. What unladylike adventure did Amelia build when she was 7 years old? All right. So how would you answer that? You would say, the unladylike adventure, right? Or Amelia's unladylike adventure that she built when she was 7 years old was she built a roller coaster, right? So you would add all that sentences together to answer the question. So it wouldn't just be built a roller coaster, because then I'm going to say, well, who built the roller coaster? Are you talking about amusement park? Are you talking about a person? Are you talking about people in general? So you have to be very specific, okay? So I would answer that question. Amelia's unladylike adventure when she was 7 years old was that she built a roller coaster. Okay, and I had to go back to the story, so I went back to this anchor chart that helped me. Got it? And then I have another one. I have an opinion question. Remember, opinion is how you feel, so there's no right or wrong. So the question is, do you think Amelia was brave to ride the roller coaster? Explain your answer. So when someone says explain, you have to write the word because, okay? And you never start a sentence with because. All right. So I would say, I think Amelia was brave to ride the roller coaster because, she could have fallen and gotten hurt. Right. So that was very brave. And it was the first time that she did it. So it's not yes. So where's the rest of your sentence? Right. Because yes is not a clear answer, and yes confuses people, confuses your readers, right, who are trying, what are you answering yes to? So you have to be very specific. So you would say, I think Amelia was brave, or I do not think Amelia was brave, and then you would explain your reason why. Remember, in an opinion question, there's no right or wrong. And the last question is, how did Amelia feel about her unladylike adventure? So you have to go back to the story, take a look at her facial expressions. How did she feel about her unladylike adventure? So Amelia feels, right? You can say happy, surprised, elated, joyous. She feels amazed, right, at her unladylike adventure. So there's a lot of words you can use. Okay, we have to start not using just happy. We can use elated, right? She felt awesome, right? She felt engaged. She was very excited, right? So we're going to use a lot of these words, and I'll put them up under Google Classroom. So maybe you can try to use some other words besides the word happy. Okay, so I hope this video helps. Remember, your focus is to use RAD. I'm going to give you some examples, but I want you to think of your own. Okay, so you're going to have to go back to the story to look for those details. Remember, an answer is not just one word, right? You have to answer the question, and you do that by restating